This is Kicking and Streaming Podcast.
I'm good at that.
Right. So moving on then, let's see. What did you watch this week, Jojo?
So this week I finished a series that I think we talked about, not in the sense of doing a podcast about it, but in the sense of me talking about how bonkers it was. But I finished the documentary series, The Way Down. So they just published the second part of it on HBO Max. And so I finished watching the last part of that. And I can't say that the conclusion was all that satisfying because the story isn't really truly over. But if you haven't watched this documentary, I highly recommend it, especially since both pieces are out now. And there is a little bit more of a complete picture of what's going on with this particular wackadoo church called the Remnant down in Tennessee. And yeah, it's a crazy wild ride.
Remind us again what it was about, if you will.
Yeah. So it's about this woman named Gwen Shamblin who she at first started like a weight loss workshop that was mainly held in churches, like church groups, not in the sense of like anything being preached from their pulpit or whatever, but in the sense of something like the women or the men in the congregation would get together and talk about this book. And it was at the beginning, nothing really too crazy in the sense of dieting. It was more like, pay attention to what you're eating, chew carefully, try not to overindulge, that kind of thing. Kind of your basic weight loss program that was happening all the time. I think this was in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s when she started it. And from there, she just kind of grew this empire and ended up basing a church, a Christian-based church, a Bible-based church, whatever, on her weight loss book and her belief in weight loss and in God helping you with all of that. And it just went insane from there. Like it went from, okay, this is a thing that, church groups get together and do, to an all-out absolute 100% cult. The producers decided to go ahead and do this documentary because it's just this church had such a stranglehold over this town in Tennessee. They recruited people. So if you join the church, like you would get your hair done by somebody in the church, you would get your car worked on by somebody who was in the church, you would buy your car from somebody whose dealership was a member of the church. So it was all very sort of monopolized and inbred type thing. So it was very insular and very, like, to them, they touted it as, oh, you're going to our people, you're going to get a good deal, yada, yada, that kind of thing. But of course, the money is pouring into the church and tithing and all that kind of thing. But so before the documentary came out, just before it was supposed to be released, the Gwen Shamblin herself, her husband, and a whole bunch of other leaders of the church actually died in a plane crash. So there was a question as to if they were even going to release this documentary series. And they decided to go ahead and release it, but do it in two parts. So the beginning of it is sort of their first idea of what they were going to be doing with it while she was still alive and attempting to get interviewers with her and that kind of thing. And then once she was killed in this plane crash, it's more of the aftermath of what happened with the church and the leaders and the leadership, because she had a true stranglehold. She was a cult leader. So you know how that they don't really delegate too much.
Yeah, they don't foresee themselves ever being gone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They're going to live forever. So
Right.
so it was just how the church was trying to restructure and what's happened. And anyway, it's very interesting and very, I think, non-judgmental is a good way to put it, because I think a lot of the documentaries and things that I've seen for people who get involved in this kind of thing sort of seems to be victim blaming, in the sense of, how could you be so dumb as to fall for something like that? Or, why in the world didn't you just walk away? Much like it is with women who are abused or men who are abused in relationships. But this really goes into the psychology of a cult and how the importance of that can take utmost importance of your life over family, over loved ones, over even yourself. So it's a really really well done documentary. It's not sensationalized, even though the woman herself, Gwen Shamblin, was a sensational person. I mean, she's just insane. When you look up pictures, there's a picture of her, and her hair is like, the higher the hair, closer to God or whatever. But that is
Right.
actually how her hair is. When you look at it, you're like, this is ridiculous. Like it's a picture of her on the cover of the documentary on HBO, and you're like, nobody, why would they make somebody look like that? But it's just a picture of her. That's how she
Uh,
actually looked towards the end. So yeah, so it's a documentary I really recommend, and they just released the second part of it. And like I said, I don't know how satisfying the ending was. It's still ongoing, but maybe they'll do a third part and follow up again. I don't know, but
yeah, good stuff. Like knowing that you talked about it the first time, I don't know how I haven't taken a moment to actually watch it. But now that the picture is more or less complete, I'll probably will do that now. Uh,
yeah, I think that when I started it, I didn't realize it was gonna be in 2 parts. So I don't think I would have started it before if I'd known that they were gonna be waiting to release the rest of it. But now that it's fully out, yeah, it's good.
yeah, I'm sort of getting fed up with the whole two parts of the same story shit. Like waiting a little bit and stuff like it's just let people binge watch whatever they want to binge watch.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me this week, it was when I was in Europe a few weeks ago. I remember I went on Hulu, thanks to VPN, and I watched Saturday Night Live on Hulu. It was like Tuesday. We had just gotten to Amsterdam, and I saw that the host was Jerrod Carmichael, comedian Jerrod Carmichael, and Jerrod is a very smart comedian. A dude that has a very different way of making you laugh and very self-deprecating sometimes, but like in a very smart way. So when he was saying, you probably are asking yourself, why is this guy hosting Saturday Night Live? Is he famous? He's like, no, I'm not that famous, Uh, and then he said, my name is Jerrod Carmichael. I have my third HBO special, and in that HBO special, I came out as gay. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna watch these. For him to come out gay in a HBO special was like, okay, I need to watch that. We came back home, and I don't remember. I didn't remember to put it aside to watch. Then today, actually, I decided to watch it, and I have to say, Jojo, you know how like whenever you talk about stand-up comedy specials, you will always remember Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, and people who somehow their stand-up comedy style and their first or special or some stand-up special they did is located in the top 10 of everything.
Yeah, like
And
George Carlin or Robin Williams or
yes,
yeah, Richard Pryor, like, yeah.
exactly. I think, without exaggeration, Jerrod Carmichael has done something here that nobody has done. Jerrod has a style of storytelling, which obviously every stand up comedian has. But Jerrod can tell you a story about himself that is funny, is smart, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like this is a guy that is trying to make you laugh. If you laugh, that's fine. But he made this entire comedy special feel like a conversation with somebody you just met that you immediately know you're going to become good friends with.
That's
Do, do,
cool.
do you see what I'm saying here?
I do, yeah. And
Because the kind of confessions he makes to the audience, the sincerity to which he goes about it, letting my guard down and becoming vulnerable. And it wasn't, granted a 10,000 seat theater. It was a small venue, like an old school, you know, stand up bar or whatever. Maybe 75 people or 100. Very cozy. And he sits there and he starts talking about his family, himself. He talks about the secrets in his family. and how he too had secrets. That he was raised in a culture of secrets, and it was the best unburdening situation I've ever seen. So smart, so fantastic that I recommend everybody to go ahead and watch. This the title of the show is actually Rothaniel.
Okay.
Rothaniel, and it's on HBO Max. And I kept thinking, well, that's an odd title. It sounds like somebody's name. Why? Well, I'm hoping, probably he's going to talk about some good friend he went to school with or whatever. And it turns out that Rothaniel is his first name.
Oh, okay.
That's one
Okay.
of his secrets,
Okay.
you know. But obviously, the major secret of the day was coming out and telling folks that he was gay and how that has affected his relationship with his mother, with his religious beliefs, the black community, his dad, and everybody else. It's just an absolute, it's a conversation more than anything else. But it's a conversation of somebody that you have with somebody you just met, and you're like, hey man, can I get your number? Like, can we do this again?
Yeah.
That's the way it felt. That's the way it felt.
That's cool. That's very, very cool. Very cool. And what is the comedian? I mean, I know now his name is Rothaniel, but what's his name again?
Jerrod Carmichael.
Jerrod Carmichael. Okay.
It's beautiful. Like whenever you know sliding by on HBO Max, check him out. Rothaniel is the special, and the comedian is Jerrod Carmichael.